Star Wars Battlefront 2004 is one of the most impressive Star Wars games for the time it came out. There are dozens of Star Wars video games, dating back to before video games were even popular, but unfortunately there are only like 7 of them that are playable. Star Wars is such a perfect subject matter for a video game because you can honestly do whatever you want. There's no shortage of lore and scenarios you can have the player engage with, but why are so many Star Wars games so bad? Even ones that I love, like Shadows of the Empire or Dark Forces 2, I can admit that they aren't exactly the highest quality games, even for the time they came out. And sadly, they haven't aged very well either. Battlefront, though, despite being almost 20 years old, is still very playable. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's just nostalgia that keeps me coming back to this game. And yeah, I know Battlefront 2 is the better game overall, but all that game does is take the bones from the first and add to it. But the bones are still good. I love these bones.
I'm like Ninja for Battlefront 2004. Ah, fuck!
Even the UI and menus of the first Battlefront are like a blueprint for something greater. And I have a lot of respect for how ambitious and clever this game is. Battlefront is a really competent game. It feels like it was inspired by the same kind of experience you'd have playing a tabletop war game. I think most people would associate tabletop gaming with RTS games like Empire at War, but if you were playing as a little miniature in a Star Wars tabletop game, this is what it might be like.
Oh my god, there's so bad. Jesus Christ!
The gameplay is straightforward. You go and you shoot guys until you get to their command point, sit on it until it turns green, and repeat until you either have all the command points or have killed all the other guys. That's kind of literally all there is to this game. It's simple, but it does everything it does so well to make what might sound like something really repetitive into an experience that's still enjoyable almost 2 decades later. The thing about Battlefront is that it really makes you feel like you're on the battlefront. I do kind of mean it though. This game loves making the player feel like a little ant getting blown up by thermal detonators because the AI really likes throwing them, or a little ant getting shot with a gun. Everyone in this game is made out of paper, but it is really satisfying when you're able to blast through a crowd of pawns. And that's not to say the game is easy. It's actually really hard. You are also made of paper in this game. An IGN review written at the time the game came out criticized it for being too easy, and maybe Jimmy IGN here forgot how to turn the difficulty up. But the hard mode on this game is unlike anything I've ever played outside the series.
Stop! Hey! Enough! Fuck! He's moving crazy! Stop! Ah!
The AI can be really uncoordinated and act in confusing ways until they start acting like a perfect hive mind and taking all of your command posts last second. Part of how hard the game is when you're by yourself is how unhelpful your AI team can be, which is probably the game's biggest flaw, but it's also kind of funny, so I don't really mind. One thing this game does though that for some reason they never did again was having 3 factions in a battle all at the same time, which adds to the chaos that this game is. What happened to Yellow Team? Bring back the Yellow Team. Especially on maps like Tatooine, where the third faction is kind of neutral. It creates a really interesting dynamic between the 2 teams to have to navigate a battle while also fighting a third force that wants them both dead. Hey, that's cool. That's a little variety in my video game. I kind of like that. I don't know if the developers made the sniper class this good on purpose. It's kind of the best of the playable classes because 90% of the people you're shooting at don't even know you're there. It's broken, but in a way that I think is balanced by how easily you can die and how many other enemies there are to shoot. You also can't really do anything about tanks, ships, or walkers that might find you. Which, by the way, the vehicles in this game are, they're perfect. They're so fun to use. They all have first-person modes, which is really cool. They didn't need to do that. Especially when you're in split screen riding with a friend there with you as the gunner or the pilot. It's awesome, and it's unlike anything that existed by the time this game came out. Also, it's such a small thing, but I love that this game lets you fly around freely above the battlefield. That's really fun. But it's also the reason I die a lot. The maps in this game, apart from some of the controls, I always love these guys. The controls are really bad, though.
Ow!
Are probably the most poorly aged thing about Battlefront. Some are great, while others are really flat. All of them are too small, especially when they have vehicles in them. There isn't a lot of point to being able to fly an X-Wing above a battle if you can barely get it to go where you want it to.
We've lost a command post. We captured a command.
These small maps do mean that these huge armies are clashing a lot, which keeps the pace up, so I can understand why they're like this. Maybe it really is just nostalgia, but this game is just so solid. I really like it. Everyone loves the Battlefront games on the PS2. Your grandma, your small little freak grandma even loved these games. So you can only imagine everyone's excitement when EA announced that they're rebooting the series. Only after closing down the studio that made the originals. Thanks, EA. And I don't even think DICE is the worst developer for something like Battlefront. Battlefield as a series is a lot like Battlefront. That's why they named it that. And if there's anything Battlefield does really well, it's vehicles. But somehow, the new Battlefront 1 released with less content than the first. 4 maps, unless you buy the rest, no single player, these stupid fucking cards instead of just actual abilities. What is this? They made Han Solo look like this, and they somehow didn't even do the vehicles right. You have to pick up like a stupid power-up fucking thing, and then you're teleported to a vehicle. That sucks. It might only matter to me, but this is bad. It's not even about being immersed in the game, but why wouldn't you want to be immersed in a game that looks and sounds this good? But having vehicles be a pickup is just confusing and kind of lazy. Could they not figure out where to put landed ships? If it wasn't DICE that made this game, I don't know if it would even matter to me as much. The same with the heroes. You don't play as any heroes in the original Battlefront 1, they just kind of hang out with you. But in EA's Battlefront 1, you can get a pickup to play as a hero. Just a bad idea. And I hate it. I would almost rather there not be any heroes at all than to have to get these stupid, ugly power-ups so I can play as these clunky, ugly heroes. The other game they made isn't that bad, though. Battlefront 1 is no masterpiece. For as solid and intelligent as the game is, it's barely even remembered because it was so quickly outdone by its sequel just a year later. If this game were to come out in 2023, it probably would get a Season 2 with all of the features from the second game, rather than being its own entire game. Which makes it kind of an interesting little time capsule from a time where the games industry was a very different place. It's the kind of game that had a clear vision and a great execution, which is a weirdly rare thing for AAA titles now. Even compared to a game that came out 11 years after, the simplicity and level of content in the original makes it easy to revisit. And I'm glad I got to talk about it today. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please subscribe for more wizard videos about video games. Thank you.